Shabbat Shalom. Good morning to the scattered nation of Israel first, scattered according to the Bible into the four corners of the earth, and who are at the bottom rung of Babylon society, but are the precious chosen from the Creator. Greetings. And to the 144,000 among them who are being prepared for a final warning message to the earth to call all of Yah's chosen out of the religious systems of Babylon. Greetings. And to the Gentiles who are also counted as brothers and sisters that have received the perfect righteousness of the only true God, Father Yah, and the firstborn of prophet, priests, and king, Messiah Yahushua. Greetings. Greetings to the chat. Only one way. Brother Mark, Superstar and family, Brother Ruel and family, Naviska and family, Yakoba Bon Israel, Brother Gary, Joseph, Isha, Shama, and Brother Shama, Akmar, Chaplain Lewis, Zadok, and all of the other who are the family of the Messiah's cousins. Praise the Most High Yah. Today we are in These Be the Words, and we are in chapter 2. We just finished chapter 1. Now, we have very interesting study as we're going into chapter 2. There are peoples of the earth. Now, we recognize who we are from our study of the Bible and the conviction of the Father Spirit. Please read your Bible. Today is very interesting. I didn't answer the tweet. It wasn't directed at me. I guess it was a general tweet by an NBA coach or a former NBA coach where he said, why is the hatred of LGBTQ so strong in the Bible Belt? And he highlighted, well, he enlarged the letters Bible. And my thought was, I didn't respond. Maybe I will at some point. But my thought was, start at Genesis and read through the Revelation, and you'll understand what the Bible says about that subject. And you'll understand what the Bible says about a lot of things. The problem, again, with most people is they have an opinion about a book that they've never read. The height of hypocrisy is to be speaking in judgment of something that you have no knowledge of. You have no knowledge of it. Reading a psalm does not mean you read the Bible. Reading a chapter does not mean you read the Bible. Reading a prophet does not mean you read the Bible. Starting at Genesis and finishing it at Revelation, now you've read the Bible. Now, generally speaking, in the world, when you're in education, when you're an educator or you're being educated in the world system of education in elementary school, in the United States, that would be preschool, elementary school, then it would be junior high school, then it would be high school. And then when you want to continue education in the United States and in Western countries, you go to college and you get a degree. It's called bachelor's. And then when you want to really focus on a particular subject, you get a master's in that subject. And then when you really want to get focused on the subject and become an expert in the area, you become educated-wise a PhD in the area, so that it is recognized that a person that has philosophy, a doctoral philosophy degree or PhD, that they are expert in the area in which they have studied. And they have spent many years studying that subject. So let's say it was the subject of mathematics. You got a bachelor's degree in mathematics. Then you went and got a master's degree in mathematics. And then you got a PhD in mathematics. You would be considered a mathematician, because you have studied this subject thoroughly over many years. So that if a person took a course in calculus and they said that they were just as known or knowledgeable in mathematics as a person that has a PhD, that would be disrespectful to the person that spent years and years and years studying that subject. Does that make sense? And yet that's what people do with the most important book on planet Earth every day. They read parts of it and then they want to be experts or claim to be experts in it and have something to say about a book they've never read. Okay, so we start off today, as we normally start off, encouraging people to please read the book. Then you can have something to say about it. But don't speak about what's in it in terms of some of the perversions of Babylon and try to be negative about the people that follow the book when you haven't actually read the book to know what it says. Now, today, with that in mind, there's a lot of misnomers, put it that way. Today, have you ever heard of this one? Arabs and people that follow Islam are Ishmael. And you have Ishmael and you have Jacob represented by those Ashkenazi Jews, and they hate each other because it goes back to Isaac and Ishmael. Have you ever heard that one? Well, when you read the Bible, you will understand it's a falsehood according to the Bible. Now, let me put everything in this perspective. I'm trying to fix the light here. Let me put everything in this perspective, brethren. Me, raw Hebrew, considers the truth to be this book. Not everybody does. So for those people that are wondering what my basis is of saying what is true and what is falsehood, it's this book. It's this King James Bible. That is the basis of everything I believe to be true and everything I believe to be false. Okay? So when I'm speaking on what is true and what is false, I'm basing it on what I have read, having read this book 19 times from cover to cover. That's what I'm basing mine. So if you're a follower of the Quran, you may not agree with me, and we were not going to agree because that's a different book. Okay, that's a different book. And it's like somebody would say, the sky is blue. And I believe that the sky is blue. That's the color. If somebody to come to me and say, well, the sky is really not blue, it's red. I don't need to go and discuss why they're saying it's red, because it's clear to me that it's blue. So when this book says there's only one true God and his name is Yah, I don't need to discuss with anybody any other God if I'm believing this book. When this book tells me he's only revealed himself to one true people, and it reveals me that my bloodline is that people, I don't need to go discuss another people, another culture, another thing with another people. I don't hate them, but I need to discuss them about the creator that I follow, because this book tells me there's nobody else. Now, again, I don't hold any art against people that follow the Quran. It probably says whatever it says. Well, it says whatever it says, but it's not this book. That I can tell you. It's not this book. Okay? And I am not interested in studying the Quran, because this book tells me there's only Hebrew Israelite prophets. And I have never read the Quran. Not thoroughly. I've only read parts of it. But what I will tell you is the author of it, or the prophet that says he got it from the author, is not a Hebrew Israelite. He's not of the bloodline of Isaac. He's of the bloodline of an Arab, which is a Semite, but he's not of the Hebrew Israelite origin. Therefore, according to this book, he cannot be a person that I am going to put my trust in, because this book shows me the only prophets ordained of Yah are Hebrew Israelite prophets of the bloodline of Isaac. And so again, if you want to follow any other book you want to follow, you go ahead and do that. That's everybody's free choice. And whatever religion you want to believe, you go ahead and believe that. That's everybody's free choice. I choose this book. And when I teach and preach, everything comes from this book. It is the basis of righteousness for me. It is the basis of truth. It is the basis that tells me what is the right and what is the wrong. Okay, so everything comes. So when I'm speaking on truth, I'm speaking that. So if you are a New Testament Christian, don't expect that you and I are going to see eye to eye. We're not. We never will. We're never going to. Okay, it's not going to happen. Or if you're Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy adherent, and you don't believe in the rest of the prophets or the New Testament, we're not ever going to see eye to eye. And I don't want to argue with you. You go ahead and do what you do. That's your thing. If you're an adherent of the Talmud, we're not going to ever see eye to eye. And that's okay. That's you. You do you. For me, it's this whole book. Okay? See, I'm trying to express the idea, in fact, that don't ever argue about religion to people. Don't do it. Because you know why? Again, we talked about this last night. We always bring this up. As Israelites, Yah is the only true God. We are his only true people. And we don't need to argue about it. Because as such, our only aim and purpose is glory to Yah. Our only aim and purpose is to bring glory to him. And we do this through obedience to him. We can never glorify him by winning a debate against another religion. That does not glorify the Father. Argument and debate come from the devil. Our Satan likes to argue and debate. And I want to show you something. How is that handled? Jude, the second to last writing in the Bible, Jude, verse 9. There's only one chapter of Jude. Jude, verse 9. Yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses, durst not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, Yahweh rebuke thee. So the Bible calls Satan the accuser of the brethren. The accuser is making an argument against you. Anybody accusing someone of something is making an argument against someone or something. Father never argues with the accuser. He doesn't have to. He's the Father. His answer to the accuser in the last days of Babylon's history is the 144,000. That's his answer. His answer is the 144,000. That's his answer to the accuser. Okay. Thank you, Akawan. Ready to be on the point, my brother. Okay. So today I want to look at some of the Bible history, because we're looking at chapter 2, and we're going to run into it, of the peoples that were related to us but did not worship Yah. Namely, the Edomites, the Ammonites, and the Moabites, right? They were not related. They are not Yah's Israelite people, but they are cousins to us. Now, let's look at how these peoples started, because I want to say this, especially about the Edomites. In the Bible, it shows us where Edom comes from, right? We know that he comes from Esau. Let's take a look at this in Genesis. Genesis chapter 25. Genesis chapter 25. This is where Esau, Edom, comes from. Genesis chapter 25. I'm going to begin at verse, let's see. I'm going to start at verse 19. I'm going to start at verse 19 of Genesis chapter 25. Genesis 25, beginning at verse 19 and going down to verse 34. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took to Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padanaram, and the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated Yahweh for his wife because she was barren. And Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over, like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. And the boys grew. And Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau, because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob sod pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage. For I am faint, therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he sware unto him. And he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up, and he went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. So they were brothers. They come from the same mother, same father. Edom is the same word for Adam. Means man. Edom, it means man. Okay, it's from Adam. Same word. And so, and why? Because it means blood. You can see the blood in the flesh. It's not pink. It's more like my color. It's more Indian. Okay, and that's the original color. And it makes sense because it comes from, if you look at ground, it comes from the ground. It came from the ground. Okay. They're brothers, which means they're both Hebrews. Correct? They're both Hebrews. All right. Edom ended up taking land, as we're going to read in Deuteronomy today. He ended up getting his own land, and it was blessed in his land. Now let me ask you a question. Why was Edom blessed to take his own land and have his own kingdom? Why did that happen? Why was Edom blessed to take his own land, have his own kingdom? No, not because he was the firstborn. Why was he blessed? First of all, his father gave him a blessing. He gave Jacob the blessing of the firstborn, but he gave Esau also a blessing. Okay, but right, and he was the son. That's exactly right. He was the son of Isaac. That's right. He was the son of Isaac. Right. Let's take a look. Genesis chapter 27. Genesis 27. Okay, I'm going to start at verse 30. And I'm going to go down to verse 41. Genesis 27 from verse 30 to verse 41. We're looking at the history of Edom right now. Okay. Genesis chapter 27 from verse 30 to verse 41. And it came to pass as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made savory meat and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn, Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Isaac heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is he not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Thou hast not reserved a blessing for me? Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. And with the corn and wine have I sustained him. What shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be with the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword thou shalt live, and thou shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. And the Bible also says, Jacob I have loved, Esau I have hated. But he gave Esau a lamb because his father, who is Isaac, the son of Abraham, his friend, and the bloodline of Abraham, his friend, he gave him land. Okay, he gave him land. Same we can say with Ammon and Moab. Ammon and Moab were Lot's children. Lot was the nephew of Abraham. It was Abraham's brother's son. And Lot went with Abraham when they left Ur the Chaldees to go to the promised land. And so Lot was blessed because of Abraham also. And he was a Hebrew also. And his 2 sons, Ammon and Moab, were also children of the Hebrew stock, Eber. Okay, so they got blessings as well. So they are our relatives. Now, what do we know about them? And this is the thing. This is where it gets a little murky, brethren. And this is why it's important for us to read the Bible to understand what happens now. So we know what we have read so far. Edom is a relative. He's the brother of Jacob, but he's not a follower of Yah. He is also not of the Israelite, because his brother Jacob's seed is the Israelites. We got that clear? So Edom, and also we saw that Edom hates Jacob, and Yah hates Edom. Okay, now let's go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah does a good job in my view, in breaking this down in terms of these peoples. Jeremiah, let's see. He starts off in chapter 48 talking about Moab and Moab's gods. So we're not going to read the whole chapter 48 today, because you're going to see that when we study Deuteronomy, as we look at chapter 2. But I want to show you the end of it, and then in chapter 48, and then in chapter 49, when he talks about Esau and Ammon as well, because these are the 3 that were around in terms of they were neighbors, geographic neighbors to Israel and relatives of Israel. Geographic neighbors and relatives. Okay. Now, also I want to bring out about Ishmael. Ishmael's father is Abraham. Therefore, Ishmael is a Hebrew. Ishmael's mother was from what the Bible terms in the modern era, Egypt, Mizraim. Mizraim is Ham. So Ishmael is a mixture of Ham and Sem. He's in Hebrew because he got Sem's blood. He's a Hebrew, okay? But he went back into the continent that we call Africa. That's where he went back. And his mother took him a wife of the Mizraim, of the people of Ham. So hold on, let me get this here. So you have in the continent of Africa groups of people that are Hamitic as well as Semitic. And of course, Ethiopia comes to mind because you know that Ethiopia has people that were scattered from our people into that land. And of course, there is also the rumor of Solomon being the father of a child there that also was part of the Ethiopians. And so the Ethiopians also claim Semitic. So you have a mixture of Sem and Ham in the continent of Africa right now. We don't know specifically all of the divisions. It would be impossible. There's too many. The Most High knows, though. Okay, the Most High knows. Now, I'm going to start but with Edom, it's interesting because Edom, Moab, and Ammon were all scattered from their land, just like we were. See, this is the basis we must remember right now. The bloodline people of those nations of Edom, Moab, and Ammon are just like us in that they were scattered from their land. And for the same reason, they did so much dirt in their land, the Most High had finished and let the Gentiles come and scatter them. And so what you have today in those lands, you have people calling themselves Jordanians, right? Country of Jordan, Saudi Arabians. These people are mostly mixture of Japhet coming from the north to take over. And they took over thousands of years ago. And you have them as a mixture of the Arab people, and their Arabs are also Semites. They're not Hebrew Israelites. They're Semites. And also some of them could be Hebrews as well. You see, so there's a mixture, but they're all scattered. All of those people are scattered. So let's start at Jeremiah chapter 48. Let's see. I'm going to begin at verse, let's see. I'm going to start in chapter 48. I'm going to start at verse 42. And I'm going to read all the way into chapter 49. And I'm going to go down to verse 15. Okay. Let's start. Jeremiah chapter 48, beginning at verse 42. And I'm going to go into chapter 49 down to verse 15. Moab shall be destroyed from being a people, because he hath magnified himself against Yahweh. Fear and the pit and the snare shall be upon thee, O inhabitant of Moab, saith Yahweh. You see where I said they were also scattered from their land? He that fleeth from the fear shall fall into the pit, and he that gathereth up out of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For I will bring upon it, even upon Moab, the year of their visitation, saith Yahweh. They that fled stood under the shadow of Heshbon because of the force, but a fire shall come forth out of Heshbon, and a flame from the midst of Sihon, and shall devour the corner of Moab, and the crown of the head of the tumultuous ones. Woe be unto thee, O Moab! The people of Chemosh perisheth, for thy sons are taken captives. They went into what? Captivity, just like us. Thy sons are taken captives, and thy daughters captives. Yet I will bring again the captivity of Moab in the latter days, saith Yahweh, thus far as the judgment of Moab. So there are people now. Let's ask, are you ready for the question? So Moab come from Abraham's family. What color was Abraham's family? What color was Abraham's family? Lot's family. What color were they? Yeah, they were all black and brown. That's right. So Moab are brown people that were scattered from their land just like us. And let me tell you this now, right now, with the thousands of years, and we're talking about millennium, we're not talking about 100 years. We're talking about thousands of years have gone by. And the peoples have been mixed. So let me give you this principle so that you don't forget. A lot of people say, well, it's who your daddy is that determines where you're from. That's some garbage. There are people in the Bible who are determined from their father, for sure. But there are people also determined by their mother. So you can't say that. But what we can say for certain, 100%, is whoever got Semite blood, whoever got Israelite blood, whoever is part of that bloodline is part of that blood. Let me also tell you this. Over the course of thousands of years, you can't tell me we ain't all been mixed up. And been mixed up in that land. In other words, you had Moab mixed with Hebrew, mixed with Israelites, and they're in Africa, and they all you know is that they brown. That's all you know. And if you want to go into, if you ask people in them lands, I've seen YouTube videos of people that have relocated there from here, black people that have left, Hebrews that have left, thinking they were going to go to Jordan and get a better life. And you see them, you let them tell you what they treat black, how they treat darker people over there, how they treat them in them lands. Do they treat them equally? You let the people even tell you that are Muslim, that go to Mecca from Africa, and let them tell you how they treat the darker people when they go to Mecca, the same Muslims. See, people say Malcolm X said they treated me like brothers. Yeah, well, Malcolm X was a world figure. Everybody knew him. He was a celebrity, right? He didn't set out to be a celebrity, but when he made the trip to Mecca, he was a celebrity. They know who he was. So he was treated different, like the way an athlete would be treated in our society. You understand? They don't treat athletes, even those people that are racist. They don't treat athletes the same as they treat the rest of us. I'm gonna give you a quote from Sports Illustrated. There was a wide receiver named James Lofton. He played back in the 70s, 80s. He played for the Green Bay Packers. And the reporter was writing about James Lofton's experience in Green Bay, Wisconsin in the 80s. Okay. At the time of his career, he was one of the best receivers in the NFL. And he talked about a parent that brought his son to see James Lofton and get an autograph. He said, you see that man? He said, that's a nigger, but he's also a Packer. So get his autograph. Quote, that's a quote. He said, quote, you see that man? He told his little boy, that's a nigger, but he's also a Packer. So get his autograph. So they treat celebrities and athletes different than the rest of us. Malcolm X, when he went to Mecca, he was a celebrity. So they treated him differently. And he said, I ate from the same cup and drank water from the same cup as people that was white as people over here, and they had blue hairs, and they blew Malcolm X away. But you know what? Today, you ask some of these Nigerians or some of these dark people from Africa that go to Mecca, and they'll tell you they don't get treated the same. They get treated like second-class citizens, like slaves. There's your Hebrews. Okay? Now, that's Moab. We could say the same thing about Edom and Ammon. But one thing we have to understand, what do these three groups have in common aside from their relation to us? They worshiped other gods. They weren't there on Sinai that day when the Most High called Israel as a nation to covenant with himself. They weren't there, okay? But they're related to us. And so they were scattered because of their worship of Chemosh, Ishtar, all of them. being relatives of Abraham, but worshiping these gods. They were scattered off their lands as well because we started worshiping other gods. And then there are the ones who are bloodline and worship Asatan. You say, what? Let's go to our teacher, the prophet, Messiah. Let's go to him. Let him teach us. Gospel of John, chapter 8. Gospel of John, chapter 8. I'm going to start at verse 27. I'm going to start at verse 27. I'm going to go from verse 27. Let's see. To verse 44. From verse 27 to verse 44. Gospel of John, chapter 8. I was in Jeremiah. I'm going to come back. They understood not that he spake to them of the Father. They bloodline Hebrews could not understand that he was talking to them of the Father that is their God. Then said Yahushua unto them, when ye have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall ye know that I am he, and that I do nothing of myself, but as my Father hath taught me, I speak these things. And he that sent me is with me. The Father hath not left me alone, for I do always those things that please him. Brethren, that's my goal, isn't that? Shouldn't that be all of our goal? We do always those things that please the Father. Now, I don't do that, but I'm trusting in his perfect righteousness to bring me to that point. And that's what we should do. Be trusting in the Holy Ghost power of the Father's perfect righteousness to bring us to that point. Because that's what the Messiah did. I do always those things that please him. And he spake these words, many believed on him. Then said Yahushua to those Jews which believed on him, if you continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed, you Hebrew bloodline that believe on the prophet, priest, and king. He said, if you believe on my word, you're my disciples. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They answered to him, we be Abraham's seed, and we're never in bondage to any man. Liars. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free? Yahushua answered them, verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abideth not in the house forever, but the Son abideth ever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. I know, here you go, I know that ye are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me, because my word hath no place in you. I speak that which I have seen of my Father, and ye do that ye have seen of your father. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. Yahushua said unto them, if ye were Abraham's children, ye would do the works of Abraham. But now ye seek to kill me, a man that have told you the truth, which I have heard of Yah. This did not Abraham. Ye do the deeds of your father. Then said they unto him, we have not borne of fornication. We have one Father, even Yah. Yahushua said unto them, if Yah were your father, you would love me. For I proceeded forth and came from Yah. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. That's what called Messiah. Why do ye not understand my speech? Even because you cannot hear my words. Ye are of your father, the devil. And the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and a father of it. So anyone, even if you're the bloodline, if you're not following Father Yah, you are not really an Israelite, even if you're blood. If you're against Messiah, you are not Father Yah's children, even if you are blood. Okay? According to what we just read in the word. Then you also have people that are not the bloodline and are against the Father and are claiming to be the bloodline. Those that say they are Hebrews and are not, but are of the synagogue of Satan. So here is where Edom is modern represented. These are people claiming to be us, but worship another God and reject our Father. Why do they reject our Father? Because they reject the prophet, priest, and king. You cannot receive the prophet, priest, and king and claim to be the people of the Father. You cannot. What did Messiah just say? He said, you don't know the Father because the Father sent me. That's what he said. He said, the Father sent me. You don't know the Father. You're not his children. The Father sent me. So with Edom today, you got those that are bloodline worshiping other gods that are being punished in countries and being spanked. And the Bible says I'm going to bring back them too. Then you also have those that are not the bloodline claiming to be us in children of Yefet's kingdom and getting all the blessings of Yefet. They're not his either. But those of the bloodline, let's keep reading back to Jeremiah. So we done already saw Moab. They're brown people that have been scattered that are going to be brought back. Okay. And in each one of these sons, Edom, Moab, and Ammon, you're going to find the same thing. So there are Edomites that are really brown people from the real bloodline that will be brought back. But then there are Edomites taking themselves to be Hebrews, and they're not. They're converts to a false religion. See, brethren, if you're not a follower of Yah by blood, then you're not. If you are a non-bloodline follower of Yah, you're grafted into the bloodline. But if you're claiming to be Yah's people and you're rejecting the prophet, priest, and king, and you're rejecting who his real chosen people are, then who are you? You know who you are? You're an imposter. That's who you are. You'd be an imposter. Okay? And look here. Like I said in the beginning, whatever religion you want to be, whatever book you want to read, you go do what you do. You do you. But don't say you're doing me. Don't act like you're doing me. And then there are those among them that will claim, well, we accept you guys also. We don't need y'all to accept us. We don't need people that are not the blood. See, listen how this sounds now. You got the non-bloodline claiming, oh, we'll accept the bloodline, as if the power is for them to accept us. You better hope we accept you. You hear me? I'm saying? You better hope the bloodline accepts you. And the Bible says there'll be those among those fake Edomites that are going to receive this truth. And I believe that. There are those that are going to receive this truth. There are those among the Ashkenazis that are going to receive this truth. And there are people receiving it. And they're going to receive the blessing because they are grafted in, just like an Irish man or a Polish man or a Russian man. They'll be grafted into the bloodline with them as well. But don't act like you're doing us a favor when you're not even the bloodline. And that's why I tell the true Hebrews, don't look to Edomites to say, you know, what month do we celebrate this and how do we celebrate that and what is it called? Don't look to them. Find out from your father. You are his child. You are his blood. Your cousin is Messiah. You need to find out from his book and from his spirit with you and him. You don't need to look to these people. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's all that. It's all that. Let's keep going. Jeremiah chapter 48. So there are Edomites, Moabites, and Ammonites of the bloodline that have been scattered. And you would not listen here. Let me ask you another question. Here's another question. As a general society, especially in the Western Eurocentric culture in which we all dwell, are the true Hebrews accepted as the true Hebrews? According to the Western culture in which we all dwell, are the true Hebrews accepted as the true Hebrew? No. Okay. Therefore, I think it's logical to assume the true Edomite bloodline, the true Ammonite bloodline, the true Moabite bloodline, if they brown like us, they're not going to be accepted either. They're not going to be accepted either. And they're going to have people on their land just like we got people on our land. You hear me? We got people on our land. They got people on theirs too. Yes, man. Jeremiah chapter 40. I'm going to start at verse 40. I'm going to start at verse 46 again. I'm going to continue where I started from 48, Jeremiah 48 from verse 46. And I'm going to go all the way down into chapter 49, verse 15. Woe unto thee, O Moab, the people of Chemosh perisheth, for thy sons are taken captives, and thy daughters captives. Yet I will bring again the captivity of Moab in the latter days, saith Yahweh. Thus far is the judgment of Moab. Concerning the Ammonites, thus saith Yahweh, hath Israel no sons? Hath he no heir? Why then doth their king inherit Gad, and his people dwell in his cities? Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard in Rabbah of the Ammonites. And it shall come, and it shall be a desolate heap, and her daughters shall be burned with fire. Then shall Israel be heir unto them that were his heirs, saith Yahweh. Howl, O Heshbon, for Ai is spoiled. Cry, ye daughters of Rabbah. Gird you with sackcloth, lament, and run to and fro by the hedges, for their king shall go into captivity, and his priests and his princes together. Wherefore gloriest thou in the valley, thy flowing valley, O backsliding daughter, that trusteth in her treasure, saying, who shall come unto me? Behold, I will bring a fear upon thee, saith the Most High Yahweh of hosts, from all those that be about thee, and ye shall be driven out, every man right forth, and none shall gather him that wandereth. And after it I will bring again the captivity of the children of Ammon, saith Yahweh. I will bring again the captivity. So again, you see, Moab went into captivity, the original bloodline of Ammon went into captivity, just like us. Okay, let's continue. Verse 7, concerning Edom, thus saith the Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Flee ye, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, for I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him, the time that I will visit him. If grapegatherers come to thee, would they not leave some gleaning grapes? If thieves by night, they will destroy till they have enough. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children. I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. For thus saith Yahweh, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have surely drunken. And art thou he that shall that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. For I have sworn in myself, that saith Yahweh, that Basra shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste. I have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent from the heathen, saying, gather ye together and come against her, rise up to the battle. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. Edom. Okay, Edom. So that is the story of the three cousins of us around us. Now, as we were going through, our fathers were going through the wilderness to the promised land, we ran into our cousins. And that's where we begin in Deuteronomy chapter 2. We ran into our cousins. Now, again, whoever is an enemy of Yah is our enemy. But at this point, we don't know who all our enemies are. We can see some of them are plain to us, but we We don't know all of them. And the reason is because at this point, what's going on? The Messiah talked about what? Separating the sheep from the goats. And he said a tree is known by its fruits. So that in general terms, we know the children of Yafet have set up this system. They set up the religious, economic system, educational system, and it's Babylon. And we know it's going to be destroyed, and those who set it up with it. But among them will come and have come those repentant ones from the Gentiles that the Bible prophesies about. And included among those that are coming repentant ones will be Ammon and Moab and Edom, right? And I can give you scriptures for that. But as a group, as a large monolith of people, aside from the repentant remnants, there's going to be a destruction among them. He said, I made you small among the heathen and greatly despised. Obadiah says the same thing. And he said, they're rich in this world goods. They're rich, like they run banks and stuff, and Federal Reserves and stuff. And they run Hollywood and stuff. Where do you think gangster rap originated? It didn't originate in the hood. The brothers put the flavor to it, but it originated in corporate boardrooms of Edomites. That's how it originated. The brothers took it and received it to get paid, and then those in the hood heard it and then brought it to new levels in their own personal warlike experience, because all of us come from a situation in this country where we come from a backdrop where we should all suffer from a form of PTSD because of our history. Some of us really been in war, like they call Chicago in some areas what? Chirac, because it's a warlike zone built to destroy us. Okay. And the gangster rap and the rap come out of that experience, but it started in the corporate boardroom. That's how it started. And a lot of the styles start in the corporate boardroom, like the no wearing of the belts and wearing your pants and showing the two buns of your behind like you were homosexual. That started in corporate boardrooms. But what happens is they try to put this stuff on us, and the talent and the creativity and the flavor comes on it and changes it. They put the baggy pants on us too, but then we brought it to a new level, and we brought out FUBU and all of that. So there's a battle going on. They're trying to destroy us, but the talent turns their destruction against them. Praise the Most High. It's a battle. They meant for us to be destroyed by crack, completely annihilated. And then they backed it up with a 3 strikes law, and we still here. We still here. They meant for us to be destroyed by that. Think about that. Oh, you think the water in Mississippi being poisoned is accidental? Oh, you think the water in Michigan being poisoned was accidental? Y'all better wake up. What's going on is they mean to destroy us. They mean to destroy us. But Father Yah called us forth, and we're awakening. See? And the children, this Bible says, and the Egyptians were grieved because of the children of Israel. History never changes, bro. It just repeats itself. There's nothing new under the sun. Okay? They're trying to kill us. They're trying to kill us. Trying their best. Deuteronomy chapter 2. Deuteronomy. Margaret Sanger came out with birth control and population control to reduce the population of brown black people on the earth. And what happened is her own cousins started utilizing the baby killing services. Okay? Her own cousins. And so they're trying to tell y'all, stop killing your babies. But they don't mean all of y'all, just them. That's why they plant them things in every black neighborhood. They want y'all killing your babies. That's why they try to take the young black males, make them into criminals in these war zones. And then if they can't kill them on the street, put them in jail where they can't make no more babies. Pharaoh said, if it's a female, keep it alive. If it's a male, throw it in the river. Down here in Florida, they were throwing black babies to the crocodiles. Yes, they were. That ain't new. That ain't new. But look, we still here. We still here. And as long as we here, you heard the Most High said to us, you are my witnesses. As long as we here, he said, you are my witnesses. Deuteronomy chapter 2. Deuteronomy chapter 2. You can't stop what Father has blessed. When Father has blessed something, you can't stop. When Father makes a word, when he brings forth a word, it cannot be stopped by anybody. Okay. Praise the Most High. Deuteronomy chapter 2. Now he's going to show the journeys of our fathers through the wilderness on their way, and you're going to run into some cousins, and we're going to run into some enemies. Okay. We got a lot to go through with this here, because this is a very important subject, because we're in the last days and we're going to run into the same thing. Okay, we are running into the same thing. Not going to, it's already happened. Okay, so in fact, I just mentioned it in this previous subject a few seconds ago. We're running into some cousins and we're running into some enemies. Deuteronomy chapter 2, beginning at verse 1, and I'm going to go down to verse 5. Then we turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. And as Yahweh spake unto me, and we compassed Mount Seir many days. And Yahweh spake unto me, saying, ye have compassed this mountain long enough. Turn you northward. And command thou the people, saying, ye are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir. And they shall be afraid of you. Take ye good heed unto yourselves, therefore, meddle not with them, for I will not give you their land, no, not so much as a footbreadth, because I have given Mount Seir unto Esau for possession. Again, because of the blessing of Abraham, which went to Isaac, and Isaac blessed his son Esau, the Most High said, I'm not going to give you their land. I'm not going to give you their land. Okay? But they're going to serve us in the kingdom. The Bible says it. Let me show you. Isaiah chapter 11. Isaiah chapter 11. Come right back to Deuteronomy. Isaiah chapter. There's a lot here, brethren. There's so much history and understanding given to us. We have no need to guess about Edom, Moab, and Ammon. We have no need to guess. Just go by what the word tells you and leave it. Don't add to it. Don't take away from it, right? Just go by what the word tells you. What does this word tell you in its totality about these peoples? We just told you, the Bible just showed us they were scattered like us. They were taken off their land like us. Just like us, they were given land for possession. But they worshiped other gods, just like we did. Okay? And they're going to be brought back, just like we are. Isaiah chapter 11. Watch this. I'm going to begin at verse 11. I'm going to begin at verse 10. Let me begin at verse 10 and go from verse 10 of Isaiah 11 all the way down to verse 14. Okay? From verse 10 to 14, Isaiah chapter 11. Watch. In that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Amath and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. And they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west, and they shall spoil them of the east together, and they shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. So of all of these groups, there's going to be people that's going to come into the kingdom. Why would we laying our hands on them and they obeying us if they're dead? They're not going to be dead. They're going to be people from these groups that are our servants. They're going to have their land like they did before. And we're going to have control over the whole land because Messiah is the prophet, priest, and king. And David is going to be king in Jerusalem. And we're going to be resurrected and people are going to be made new and we're going to have a kingdom. And the answer to the disciples' question will be answered. Remember the disciples' question to the Messiah? They said to him, Master, wilt thou at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? Remember? It will be answered. Wilt thou at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? That's the point. That's what he's going to do. He just not do it then. He said, it's not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath in his own power. And now we're at that time, brethren. At that time. Praise the Most High. There's brown people that are of Moab, brown people that are of Ammon, brown people that are of Edom. The true bloodline people will be brought back. Then there are those that are of the fake Edomites, that are the spiritual Edomites of Ashkenaz. That's who they are. Ashkenaz, the spiritual Edomite. There are some of those that are going to come to this truth and stand firm in this truth and be grafted into this truth, along with other Gentiles from Japhet that are going to stand firm to this truth and be grafted into this truth. Now, again, with all of us, as we know, it's a remnant. It's a remnant of the true bloodline. It's a remnant of all the others. It's a remnant. What's going to be left on the earth of all peoples are remnants. Praise the Most High. Okay? Back to Deuteronomy. So you see, don't mess with Edom. They were told, because I've given that land to Esau. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 2, beginning at verse 6. Deuteronomy 2, beginning at verse 6. I'm going to go from verse 6 down to verse 9. Deuteronomy chapter 2, from 6 to 9. Ye shall buy meat of them, talking about Esau. Ye shall buy meat of them for money, they shall, and that ye may eat. And ye shall also buy water of them for money, that ye may drink. For Yahweh thy Most High have blessed thee in all the works of thy hand. He knoweth thy walking through this great wilderness, these 40 years. Yahweh thy Most High have been with thee. Thou hast lacked nothing. And when we passed by from our brethren, the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, through the way of the plain from Elath and from Ezion Gabar, we turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. And Yahweh said unto me, distress not the Moabites, neither contend with them in battle. For I will not give thee their land for a possession, because I have given unto Ar, unto the children of Lot, for a possession. This is the thing that's amazing to me about this. The Father doesn't forget one thing. Any promise he makes, he keeps. Forever. Period. And some people say his promises are conditional. Yes, his promises are conditional, for real. But what we must understand is, because he makes them, there's always going to be a people that fulfill them. If it's not the same amount of the original people, there's going to be a remnant of people that fulfill the promises that Father makes. Always. A remnant of the Hebrew Israelites, a remnant of Moab, a remnant of Ammon, a remnant of Edom. You're going to have a remnant of them that are blessed of the Most High and get their land back. Always a remnant. Okay? It's always about a remnant, brethren. So you got our cousins that's going to be brought back. And then you're going to see, as we continue, our enemies that's going to try to stop us from getting the kingdom. Of course, they're going to fail, because Father's word is for us, for the kingdom to be restored to Israel. That's the whole point. That's why you have a new Jerusalem with 12 gates of the 12 tribes. That's why you have 12 Hebrew Israelite apostles in the foundation of the city. That's why you have that. That's why you have Edom and Moab and Ammon serving Ephraim and Judah, and they're not vexing each other no more. That's why you have 12 tribes, because the Father's word is going to be fulfilled. Period. Okay. And we, as the awakened ones here in the Eurocentric cultures in which we are now dwelling, we understanding who we are, they're also going to be raised up as well. That's not for us to worry about. All it is for you and I to do, brethren, glorify our Father. Glorify our Father. Bring glory to the Father. That's our whole job. And you do that by obedience. As a faithful servant of Father Yah, by the power of his spirit of righteousness and wisdom and truth. Serve your Father. Be a blessing for your Father. Honor your Father. Okay, honor him in obedience. Praise the Most High. Everything else will take care of itself. Right? Everything else will take care of itself. Praise the Most High. Okay, so let's continue. We're going to stop here. It's now 12:52. I'm going to come back in about 30 minutes. I'm going to come back at 1:30. And we'll start again in Deuteronomy chapter 2. We'll come back and start again and go from there and continue in our cousins and our enemies. Very important. That's going to be a part 2 of this one. Okay. And if you can come back, it's fine. If you're not, I'm saying it's cool. Most High bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, brethren.